reasons why are so many Americans are so dissatisfied with the two major parties is pretty straightforward. When it comes to core issues like the military-industrial complex, the surveillance state, and Wall Street, there's not that much difference between the leadership of the Democratic and Republican parties. Both protect the interests of the corporate elite. But if there is a bipartisan consensus in favor of the status quo, there's also a bipartisan consensus against the status quo. Longtime consumer advocate and five-time candidate for president of the United States, Ralph Nader, has written about this in his new must-read book, Unstoppable: The Emerging Left-Right Alliance to Dismantle the Corporate State. Ralph Nader, the guy I voted for president in 2000, joins us now in the studio. Great to have you back with us, Mr. Nader. You know, when most people think about, and brilliant book. And so let's get into this. When most people think about politics in America, they think about extreme partisanship. Yeah. You know, this vote that they just had just hours ago in the House to let's investigate Benghazi. Yeah. This kind of stuff. In your book, you say that's not really the case. Why?
It's a divide and rule strategy by the corporate powers. Obviously, if they can split left-right opinion and put the left-right to focus on where they do disagree, like reproductive rights or gun control, they control the scene. And they keep the left and right from moving on where they do agree. And where they do agree would take power away from the corporate brokers, and it would get a lot of things done in this country. Look at where they agree. 80%, almost 80% comes in for a higher minimum wage. That's a lot of conservative workers in Walmart and other places. Right. 90% want to break up the big banks because they're too big to fail and they're risking another crash out of New York and Wall Street. A large majority want tough crackdown on corporate crime. They see it. They get ripped off as consumers. They get thrown aside as workers, and they get cheated as taxpayers. Here's the big one. Right, left against corporate welfare and what the right wing calls crony capitalism. That is really a powerful one. Right. And we want to revise the trade agreements, NAFTA and WTO. The right says it shreds our sovereignty. The left says it steals our jobs and ships them overboard. So once the two, so once the two come together, it's unbeatable. Now, where does it come together? Came together beating the Clinch River breeder reactor in 1983 against the corporate lobbies. The False Claims Act, you remember the 1986? That was a defeat for the corporate lobby because it was a left-right alliance. Last year, the Whistleblower Protection Bill to blow the whistle on corporate fraud on the government, like on the defense contracts and on Medicare. Again, left-right defeated the corporate power. The plunging into war in Syria. Well, huge emails came in, 100 to 1 in Congress. 100 to 1, 50 to 1.
On both sides, among both Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah. Nothing terrifies the power structure, whether it's the politicians in Washington and hock to the Wall Street brokers, than a left-right alliance, because it spells majority. So the issue is, how do we get more left people to come together? And this is what this book's about. 24 areas of convergence, including moral issues like the commercialization of childhood, undermining parental authority, selling these kids junk food, junk drink, junk drink, and violent programming. Yeah. Terrible. You get a left-right on that. And all it needs to do is go from opinion, and then they got to be more visible. They got to demonstrate. They got to petition. And then the rumble starts from the people. Right. And then the press picks it up. They love this. Odd fellows today, or an unlikely team of. They like that.
It's a man bites dog story.
Then when it gets on the table, like a single payer, that gets majority support year after year. Full Medicare for all, everybody in, nobody out. Free choice of hospital and doctor, which most people don't have anymore. That if that rumbles, it's unstoppable. So I'm saying to left, right, come on, don't let them divide and rule you. You can change America. You can give something to your children and grandchildren. Just lock your arms together. I mean, you're going to differ on other things. Step it aside. Say, okay, we're going to differ on A, B, C, D, but we're going to come together on W, X, Y, Z, shifting power to the people.